Are we ready? Sometimes I like to just go live when Leah doesn't know that I pressed the button. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle.
And Nigel.
And Nigel Farage, our co-host. You know, we have to give him a little bit of props there. I'm going to have to change the backlighting on the television to make it look better. Today's the 6th of... Let's go here.
December.
There he is.
It's the 6th of December.
2020. If you didn't know what year it was, it's been kind of that crazy year.
If you didn't know what year it was.
So today's show is going to be really great news. We have a lot of world news stories, and I think Leah has some.
I do.
But what's happening in the U.S. is kind of world news.
And I know that you really don't care about the rest of the world right now. And I do. And so you're just going to have to buck up and stick with it. We're going to cover the world's news today, every Sunday, for the past couple weeks. It's been like, can we get to the U.S. election? Can we get to the U.S. election? Yeah, we're going to get to the U.S. election. But, guys, there's stuff happening all over the world, and it's all interconnected. It all has to do with the COVID. It has to do with vaccines. It has to do with lockdowns. Great news in France. Those people running around burning stuff and rioting and protesting. They get stuff done. I don't understand it, but they removed the portion of the bill that would have made it illegal to film police officers. So well done, Paris, France, way to go. They heard you. They realized that the consent of the governed is really important. That the French people are well known for toppling everyone. So they could make things happen. So they do have to appease the mobs there in France. So well done to France. Now. There's a Brexit deadline.
Yeah,
and you're coming up on it. I'm pretty, it seems, I don't know where, I don't trust Boris as far as I could throw that man, which isn't far, which would be like not being able to throw him. So I don't trust him. I like antitrust, right? I just, but he seems to be holding the line a little bit on the fisheries there, and it's a sticking point for the whole Brexit deal with the EU. It's a huge sticking point. So I want to go. I'm not the know-it-all, but Brexit man himself, literally the guy ground up. It's very interesting because I was listening to Raheem Kassam on War Room Pandemic, and he was Nigel Farage's right-hand man. He knows how to skirmish these things out, to fight them out, and to not take what the left likes to do in that say, well, Nigel, you never won a seat in Parliament, but he changed your entire country, which means that Parliament may not be as relevant as you think it is.
Wow.
And that within Parliament, he probably couldn't have gotten very much done. Mm-hmm. And we have to think outside of the box, which is what we're doing here in the United States of America. Everybody wants to think that the power lies with the DOJ or the FBI or the CIA. No, the power worldwide belongs to the people. There is no match for the power of the people, even in China. If the Chinese people were organized and if they were solid as one, they could topple their communist government tomorrow. What do you think they did to topple the dynasties? It didn't take much. I mean, you look at the Russian Revolution, and the Bolsheviks were a very, very small minority of their entire government. And they toppled the whole thing. And then they were able to scare everyone into following them. If you're not red, you're dead. When you look at the Bolshevik Revolution, people were hungry, and they thought that if they would just maybe go along with the bullies. You never go along with the bullies.
Ever.
So we're fighting here in America, and I just keep picturing a chessboard. And we're missing a lot of the big pieces.
Moves and counter moves.
We're missing a lot of the big pieces. The big pieces, the DOJ, the FBI. This could be bida bang boom done, fixed real quick. If we had backbones in our legislators, backbones in the House of Representatives, backbones in the Senate, and in the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA were legit. But we've known that the FBI is not legit. They staged a coup against the United States of America. Everybody likes to say, because they're playing politically correct, that it's not all of the FBI, just a few at the top. Lies. Bold-faced lies. The FBI was created to go after U.S. citizens, and that's it. right?
That's my monkey.
That they're not designed to do that. They're designed as a political tool against whoever will wield it and the powers that be will wield it. The same with the CIA. Oh my gosh. Counterintelligence trying to save America. That CIA needs to be gone tomorrow, today, yesterday. And the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is really designed to be the political, the leverage of the president in a judicial system. But it's been so packed with all the Clintonites and the deep staters, there's nothing there. There's nobody there to do anything for the president at all. But I have good news for you, because we the people are waking up realizing that we are not ruled. The idea that you think you have to rely on the DOJ, the FBI, or even your governor is an idea that these people are your kings
or lords,
and you submit to them. They submit to us, and this is worldwide. Okay, a lot of people. The reason we're a democratic republic, a constitutional republic, I should say. Sorry. Versus just a straight up democracy is so that the smaller voices in our country have a say. So what you're going to see starting right now, there has been a petition. Now, I don't know how far the petition is going to go, because you need a 2/3 majority in the Georgia Senate, and I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Excuse me. You need a 2/3 majority to get a special session, but just the fact that they are petitioning to get the special session is important. And you can actually meet, and there are legislators in Georgia who are going over the scenarios, because they want to, if they take the step to just meet and to vote, they want to make sure that it's going to stand, that it's legit. The easiest, most legit is for their governor to call a special session. And Ducey won't in Arizona, and Kemp won't. So there has to be, we're outside of the norms, and we're into plain, like, constitutional territory, and it's outside the bounds of the norms. And people are trying to figure out how this can happen. But I'm going to tell you something else that's outside the bounds of the norms. Ballot stuffing. Fraudulent elections are outside the norms. So extreme situations call for extreme measures, but it's still within the bounds of the Constitution.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's some updates there to whet your appetite. Now it's really important to go and see what's happening with Brexit and the Brexit talks. And
we'll get back to election stuff later in the show, right?
Yeah.
Saying that once Brexit is done, in whatever form, there is going to be a need for some fundamental change in British politics, genuine reform in British politics. And in a sense, Brexit is the first step, because Brexit makes us free. Well, now we're free. Well, we don't quite know the final details. I've no doubt we'll come on to that. But once we are free to make decisions, be that over vaccines or how we manage fish stocks or whatever else it may be, we want to have a government that works, a system that we have confidence in. And don't forget that the Brexit Party's key slogan was change politics for good. So we always saw Brexit as being the first stepping stone in this direction. Why now? Well, look, I have no doubt that the transition period is going to end on the 31st of December. And even if there are some big battles to fight in the years to come, and if Boris does a bad deal, we'll be talking about ECJ oversight. If Boris does a bad deal, we'll be talking about the ability of British governments to make strategic investments in British industry. If Boris does a bad deal, I've no doubt our coastal communities will be screaming and screaming. But we still, even if it's a bad Brexit, Brexit will be done, at least for now. So I think the timing of this is right. So what we've done is we've put an application in to the Electoral Commission, asking for our name to be changed to Reform UK. And now they've got 6 weeks to respond to us. And we're now at the end of week 5. So we're quite close to getting a verdict from Elcom. I mean, I can't see any reason on earth why they would refuse us, but that's where we are.
Nigel, I want to speak a bit more about the immediate term for Reform UK, but taking the situation in the UK right now, since we last spoke, how would you assess that? We've had very recent announcement about this Pfizer vaccine. What's your overall take on how things stand right now in the UK?
Well, look, I think we've been through one of the worst years of government any of us have ever experienced in our lives. In many ways, the pandemic has showed up just what's wrong with the country. Hopeless quangos that move at the speed of a snail. Government decision-making based more on followership than it is based on leadership. U-turn after U-turn. And I'm afraid lockdown after lockdown, and a massive increase in state power and state control. A friend of mine last night went out into Borough Market in London, just by London Bridge. Amazing. There were 10 policemen in Borough Market going around the pubs, making sure people were having substantial meals, asking groups of people, were they all in the same bubble? I mean, is this what we've come to? You know, and I talked to you today when in Wales, pubs will be banned from serving alcohol. I mean, we've got this relentless march of the Puritans. I mean, Cromwell must be looking down upon all of this with great glee, you know, as every attempt for us to enjoy our lives or return to some normality is taken from us. Now, look, on the other side of that, some will say, look, Nigel, you know, a lot of people are dying with this. I did say deliberately with this, not necessarily of this, because what is becoming clear is that many people go into hospital with quite serious medical conditions, contract COVID whilst they're in hospital, and then when they die, go down as COVID deaths. I'm not underplaying, you know, the seriousness this virus represents to a certain number of people. I'm just not. But let me give you one example of where this is all going wrong. So Boris Johnson contracts COVID, as we all know, and got it very seriously. Was lucky to come out the other side of it. He's one of 50 million people worldwide that has caught this virus. Of those 50 million, only a handful, literally a handful, have been proven to contract it for a second time. So we are pretty certain that once you've had this, you have T-cell immunity. We don't yet know how long that lasts. Boris Johnson met with a member of Parliament 3 weeks ago. That member of, a brief meeting, a photograph. That MP subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. Boris, despite telling the world that he was bursting with antibodies, decided he had to self-isolate when there was actually a near mathematical impossibility that he could have contracted it and be a carrier for the second time. And then 5 days after the meeting, he had a test which was negative, and he still continued to self-isolate for a fortnight. Now that is not leadership. That, frankly, is cowardice. It's saying to the populace, you must obey the rules regardless. Well, I would have thought the whole point of a testing regime was to open the country up, not to keep it locked down. So, I mean, that little episode for me sums up just how badly we've been governed and just what a total vacuum of leadership there is in British politics today.
Nigel, if you were in Boris Johnson's position now over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, looking specifically at the economy, what kind of policies would you be looking at, taking account of Brexit perhaps, but particularly on the economy, civil liberties too? What would you be looking to doing into 2021?
Yeah. Well, let's start with the economy, shall we? And let's start with the real division in British society today. You know, people talk about racial divides, they talk about class divides. I'll tell you what the big divide is. It's the divide between the private sector and the public sector. And the way in which all over this country, we have national government that doesn't understand how the 6 million people that run their own businesses or act as sole traders operate. No comprehension from that front bench on how these things work. And then local councils, I mean, in many cases, making struggling small businesses' lives intolerable. I did a video this week about a pub in Barnes in southwest London, where a pub trying to survive through lockdown, doing click and collect takeaways, and a guy comes up and says, give us a pint. You haven't clicked and collected. But my phone's broken. Just do us a favor this one time. The manager says, right, okay, I'll do it for you once, but never again. Serves him a pint, with a plastic lid on top as a takeaway. And out they produce their licensing officer's badge from Richmond Council. I've got another letter in this morning from a guy running a private hire business. And obviously for people like that, it's been a really, really tough time. He's survived. Many firms in his area have gone bust. So what he's tried to do is to employ more drivers, leaflet, old-fashioned leafleting and advertising to say, look, if you want to go to the airport or go somewhere, we're here.
So what are people supposed to do if their phone is broken?
Right, exactly. Like, okay, so yesterday
You have to have technology.
we had a big fun day with Uncle Jack. It was Take Uncle Jack Christmas shopping yesterday. And so afterwards, we decided to pick up fast food, which we don't do very often at all. I don't think that we have been inside of a fast food restaurant probably since January or something. I don't know. It's
I have
been like
not
forever.
been inside one.
A
Restaurant.
And I had coupons.
At all, not inside.
And there were 4 of us in the car, Leah, myself, Kansas, and Uncle Jack. And so I had 3 coupons. In the past,
Chipotle, I've gone in and grabbed my stuff.
it's been fine to go and just say, hey, I've got some coupons. There's multiples of us in the car. Can I use these multiple coupons? So I said, is that okay? And I was in the drive-thru, and he said, no, you have to come inside. And I was like, so we go inside, and we tell the girl that they made us come inside. And can we put these all in the same order? And she's like, yeah, I can put them all in the same order. And I'm just like face palming because
Common sense.
we're
is
in the
literally
car.
been sucked out
We're
the window
in the car
like an
with the 3
airplane with a
coupons,
hole
and
in
they
it.
make us come inside. It's like no one is thinking clearly here. It's just every man for his silly self. I mean, I just can't even stand it.
Waiting months
Oh.
to get new drivers registered because council offices are full, or they're asking question after question after question. At no level is the private sector, the small private sector in this country being helped. And I think my biggest economic fear is that's where the economic collapse is going to come. Because I think with the mindset we've got.
So the idea of the global reset 2030, which Klaus Schwab has been very vocal about, to which Prince Charles has been very vocal about, to the World Economic Forum as a whole, putting out videos, they're very vocal about this.
Yeah.
They made a video that said, and their whole framework is, by 2030, you won't own anything, and quote unquote, you'll be happier
than ever.
The idea is to get everyone to be purchasing things from bigger, more consolidated areas, because that means more control. That happened in the U.S. voting system with mass mail-in voting. Instead of spreading out like you should, if you have more ballots to count, they consolidated to, and with COVID measures, why would you consolidate all of them into one
And that's
building?
okay. I mean, we could talk about this forever, but some examples are they are reducing hours for shopping, right? It's not to sanitize the stores. They're saying that's what it's for, but it's really not. They keep lowering and lowering and lowering hours, so it funnels everybody in
At the same time.
You know, we used to have 24-hour stores that are now promptly closed at 10 o'clock. They do not spend all night sanitizing the store. They're just closed.
And in addition, what they're trying to do is, like, with the masks, they're making people a lot of people have issues putting something over their face all day long.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, just go online. Now that should be illegal, because it is discriminatory, because not everyone, unless the government is giving everyone a computer and internet access.
Yeah.
How can you demand people order something online?
Yeah.
Unless you had some sort of kiosk outside, or like a telephone service, because there's emergency telephone service that is provided for $10 a month or something for really poor people. Okay. Landline. But even then, there's no telephone number that I know of that you can click list.
But what about the people who have to have a job that can't wear a mask all day long? You know?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
what about the people who have to have a job? And I have a dear friend who has her job is doing really well and she makes very good money. And I tried to talk about the people who are suffering, who've lost their jobs. And she's like, they can just go work at Kroger. Kroger's hiring. They can just go work at Kroger. They're paying like, what was it? Like $17 an hour. Well, first of all, Kroger is not paying $17 an hour. And secondly, what if you can't wear the mask? And then the whole thing is you can.
But hey,
no, you can.
Everybody can't work at Kroger, for one.
I know.
And for two, does Kroger have the same, like, let's say you're a father of 4 children and you lost your job.
Yeah.
Does Kroger at $17 an hour, is that going to provide for your 4 children?
Plus, it's not even that.
Is that going to provide for your
It's like $12
health insurance? I mean, that line of thinking doesn't make any sense.
And so we're talking about people who are losing their small businesses. And this is what Nigel's talking about.
Well, it doesn't matter if you lost your small business. You can go get a job at Kroger. You'll be fine.
They're trying to consolidate everyone into, which is very crazy, right? If you're trying to stop a pandemic.
Right. Consolidate everybody to Kroger.
Large corporations and large manufacturing facilities.
Right.
Very interestingly, somebody, I think it was like InfoWars, who shared something in the UK. Now, I wasn't able to fact check it, but it was saying that you're going to have less options for things and less options for food in the future, but it'll be better for the environment. And so the idea in their heads is a communist regime where we have, one set of pants for everyone, one set of shoes for everyone.
Right.
And I have to wonder, like, where is Nike in all of this? Where are these giant companies?
But because it'll be fine, because those companies will be allowed to exist.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, who was talking about it last night on whatever show we were talking about, that in the Bronx or wherever it was, that the Bed Bath & Beyond Bath & Body Works is completely open.
Yeah.
But they're shutting down the restaurant, the small mom and pop restaurant down the street.
He said there was a line to get into the store for their 50% off sale, but they had a restaurant who had social distance tables and everything like that.
That was on Judge Janine.
And the idea is really to consolidate. So in this weird, they think that they can do worldwide communism.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that they think that
But I don't want you guys to be afraid. We talk about all this stuff, but you need to understand it's important that we speak about it and we cry out about it and we say that it's wrong.
You see me, I'm laughing. Because it's ridiculous.
People are not going to go along with this.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
These people only have the power of the consent of the governed. And I'm going to tell you what. They don't know how to operate the machine guns or the missiles. Okay? They rely on police. They're just normal people like you and me. And military, which besides China's brainwashed military, are just normal people like you and me. Okay? The U.S. military is made up of people that I know in real life. All right. They are not, they can only brainwash so many people.
Right.
And their might and their strong arm. There was a sheriff in California who called out Gavin Newsom and said, I will not be enforcing your lockdown measures. And so Gavin Newsom says, well, we'll withhold money from your hospitals for COVID patients. Okay. But at the same time, Gavin Newsom wasn't doing something that President Trump, I think probably immigration or something like that. And Gavin Newsom called him out saying, you can't strong arm us by use of federal funds. And it's very interesting how this is playing out. But there are so many good sheriffs out there. They're just normal people out there who, and they're bad ones. I mean, you saw in Pittsburgh and and you see it in the UK. You see some bad cops who are willing to go and entrap a pub person.
Right.
But they're not all like that. Okay. And so the people will rise up, and there's more energy with the people, and the more that they push the people, the more the people push back. And so the crazier because of the internet, we're able to talk these things through, and we can say, no, this is crazy. And that is your good news, because if we don't consent to the crazy, then they can't. Then they only can control us if we consent, and that's what I was talking about. Yeah, but what about like in Iran and the dictatorships there? Or what about the dictatorships in Venezuela? Or what about the dictatorships in communist China? Well, they have their people brainwashed. I mean, I've heard the people in Venezuela saying, I like communism. Okay?
Well, no, and there would be a good portion of the population right here in the United States that would say right now, I love these rules.
Oh,
I am
absolutely.
very happy that these things are in place.
But
I need for the government to tell my neighbors what to do so that I can be safe.
Right. So I want to be clear here though, but there's not enough of those people, okay? They haven't brainwashed us. They have brainwashed us a lot, but not enough. And so when it came to like the Chinese regime, the people didn't know how to fight back. And what they did was they arrested and they killed all of the academics, all of the intelligent people, all of the people all the leaders who could tell the next generation, and they left the stupid people. I'm sorry. That was their point, is that always in these communist revolutions,
left the uneducated.
They leave the uneducated and the ignorant so that they can be brainwashed. Right. And so my point is, I want you to be encouraged. When I tell people to be encouraged and laugh at them, we haven't been brainwashed like the Chinese communists. Exactly. We've been brainwashed to a point, but we are waking up, and so we can laugh about it. And you're here watching us right now. And so I know a lot of people might look at China and be like, well, yeah, but they weren't able, look where they're at. Well, we're going to wake them up. Don't worry.
Well, hang on, because Mao, we're not there yet.
Okay, and we won't be there.
Right.
Not just from Boris. I mean, Michael Gove. I mean, goodness gracious me. I mean, did you read his Apocalypse Now Times article last Saturday? I mean, they are so safety first with all of this. And yeah, sure, it's not an easy job being a government in a pandemic, but they're so safety first. If they're as efficient at getting the vaccine out as they've been with the 12 billion quid they've spent on test and trace, it's going to be a very, very long time before this vaccine gets out in sufficient quantities for them to feel able to get the country moving. And I'm afraid, and I don't want viewers to contemplate this, but I think they're going to have to. We're going to be locked down till Easter. I just don't see this government changing track. So economically, what I would do is to try and actually help the 6 million small entrepreneurs out there, because that's where you get growth from. That's where you get momentum in the economy. They're the people ultimately that provide a lot more private sector jobs than the giant multinationals who are part of the CBI, who continually try and tell us our fortune. So we've got to try and help these people. We've got to try and get that part of the economy moving. And that means a different approach to lockdown. And is it one that comes with some degree of risk? Well, yes, it is. But then has lockdown worked? Has lockdown really worked?
That's a risk.
We have got to have a different approach. We've got, I'm afraid, a way round. And the problem with this, of course, is that history shows that government in crises, be it war or whatever else it is, are very good at taking power for themselves, but very much less good at giving it back when those crises are over. So that I think there are some real long-term ongoing battles to be fought here. And bear in mind that the last European Council of the year, comes next Thursday. Bear in mind that whatever gets agreed is going to need to be looked at by national governments, got to be translated, all the rest of it. Bear in mind that the European Parliament, my former home, has an absolutely crucial role in this, according to the European treaties. I mean, they actually have the right to veto this. So I guess it is possible that negotiations go on right up until Christmas. But I think realistically, we are pretty much now on last knockings of all of this. And if you put me up against a wall and say what's going to happen, I think there will be a deal. And I suspect that it's a deal that will be sold by the Prime Minister as the most extraordinary victory. rather like John Major coming back from Maastricht. Game, set and match to the British. Well, it wasn't, but that's the way that governments try and portray things. David Cameron tried that trick too. He came back in December 15 and said, look at this marvellous deal, only to have it rubbished. Yeah. On fishing, let me tell you what's really important. What's really important isn't directly what the share is next year of the catches, important though that is. What's important is who is making that decision. Right. Because when Barnier said to us a few days ago, oh, we can afford to give you another 15 to 18% of the stocks in British waters. No, no, no. Brexit is about people like you not telling us how to live our lives and telling us what to do. We voted to get away from foreign bureaucrats, offering us crumbs from the table. So in a way, provided the principle's accepted, that it's the British that make these decisions, we can afford to be generous to the French for a period of time. Well, when I say generous, I mean, I don't think they should go on getting 90% of the haddock in the southwestern approaches, all right? Some changes are needed. So that's what to look for on fishing. When it comes to the European Court of Justice, well, the signals aren't good here because Barnier himself this week has said that the UK have accepted the EU's human rights regime, and that means we will stay within the European Convention on Human Rights, and it means we will stay with the European Court of Human Rights, still having the power and the legitimacy to overrule our own Supreme Court. Now, that there's been no confirmation of that from Boris, but that's what Barnier says. So if we're going in that direction, I'm worried about, the other European court, the one that is more directly under the EU. I'm worried about that. And look, on level playing fields and state aid, if we are not free to make our own legislation in every area of our commercial life in this country, then it's not a proper Brexit. And it's just as simple as that. So my fear is a deal gets done, gets presented as a victory, but actually we find ourselves with Brexit, but still too closely tied to EU rules. That is my fear. And I think the American elections have had a big impact on this because, had Trump still been seen to be there, well, at least there was a friend there who wanted to have a trade deal. With the prospect of Biden coming in, we have somebody who's a globalist, somebody who loves the EU, hates Brexit, and supports Irish nationalism. And I think that's put Boris into a feeling that he doesn't want to look friendless on both sides of the Atlantic. So look, let's wait and see. What is interesting is this. Everyone thinks Brexit's gone away. No one cares anymore about Brexit. Brexit's gone away. We can get away with a bit of a sellout. Some interesting polling out overnight suggesting that the Red Wall would much prefer a no deal. The Red Wall would much prefer a clean break. And you know what? Right now, I'm going to return to a phrase that I coined about 10 days before the referendum in 2016. I did it after a long meeting with economists for Brexit. And we talked about this scenario. What if they won't give us a deal? And no deal is better than a bad deal. No deal is better than a bad deal was the phrase then. It's still the phrase now. I would rather have some short-term disruption knowing that we're genuinely free. But I just don't think the Prime Minister has got the bottle to do that.
So what do you guys think? Do you think the Prime Minister has the bottle to do that?
I love these phrases that we pick up while watching you guys across the pond. It's really, really fun.
So fishing. Why is fishing so important in these Brexit talks? Fishing has always been this really big emotional issue. I mean, you're surrounded by water. You're essentially, you are an island. In the UK's relationship with the European Union, and with the European Union with these rules, even though the waters are territorially the UK and you have to defend them militarily, that you only get a portion of the fish that are in your water, and this is a lifeblood of your own economy. It's a natural economy. It's a grassroots economy. It's not this multinational economy. It is what keeps a lot of these coastal towns bustling, and it kind of just it's one of those things that makes the UK so great and special. Supporters of Brexit see it as a symbol of sovereignty that will now be regained. The UK says any new agreement on fisheries must be based on the understanding that British fishing grounds are first and foremost for British boats, but the EU wants access for its boats and says reaching a fair deal on fisheries is a precondition for a free trade agreement with no tariffs or taxes on goods crossing borders. So while fishing is a tiny part of the economy on both sides of the channel, it carries a big political weight. So how do these fishing controls work? The UK formally left the EU on January 31st, but still bound by the EU rules, including the common fisheries policy until the end of this year. This means that the fishing fleets of every country involved have full access to each other's waters apart from the first 12 nautical miles, 14 miles out from the coast. But they can't catch whatever they like. EU ministers gather for marathon talks every December to haggle over the volume of fish that can be caught from each species. National quotas are then divided up using historical data going back to the 1970s, when the UK fishing industry says it got a bad deal. And that's why the government wants to increase the British quota share significantly. It's an argument complicated by the fact that parts of the British quota have been sold off by British skippers to boats based elsewhere in the EU. In England, for example, more than half of the quota is in foreign hands. Overall, more than 60% of the tonnage landed from British waters is caught by foreign boats. How could Brexit change this? Outside of the EU, as an independent coastal state, the UK will control what's known as the exclusive economic zone, stretching up to 200 nautical miles into the North Atlantic. Inside the EU, the EEZ of all member countries are managed jointly as a common resource. So it's a lot of water there. The government wants to hold annual talks on access to the UK and EU waters and quotas using a system that works out shares based on the percentage of each species of fish in the EEZ. That's what other independent coastal states such as Norway do. And fishing communities in the UK, which were strong supporters of the campaign to leave the EU, I mean, it's just a huge push there, are insisting on this basic change. But because the UK waters are so important, so bountiful, the EU is under huge pressure from its fishing communities to maintain as much of its status quo as possible. It wants the UK to grant significant access, and with only gradual change envisioned, in order to avoid economic dislocation for EU fishermen that have traditionally fished in UK waters. The EU also wants to divide up the amounts that each country's boats are allowed to catch in a way that will not be renegotiated every year. The EU's chief negotiator, Michael Barnier, in the past said that the annual negotiations with the UK would be technically impossible because so many different types of fish would be involved. But that's what the UK has been pushing for. Either way, the UK will soon have control over who can fish in its waters. It's not just about where fish can be caught, it's also about where fish can be sold. This is particularly important because most of the fish landed by the UK fishermen are actually exported. And of those exported fish, roughly 3/4 are solely dependent on such exports and would collapse if they were suddenly faced with tariffs or taxes on their products. That's one reason why the UK argues access to markets should be nothing to do with access to the fishing waters. But the EU is making the link explicit. Without a deal on fish, it insists, there will be no special access to the EU single market. So I'm just it's a complex negotiation, and I hope that they work it out.
Okay, so to keep it simple for our American viewers, we don't really deal with this very much here in the US, but a massive portion of the UK's GDP is the fisheries. And when the EU is the one that's controlling these waters that are on the outside of this area, and you don't have any control of your own waters, that's a problem. And so in my way of thinking is that it really shouldn't be this complex.
It really shouldn't.
It should be fairly straightforward. If we're pulling out of the European Union, our waters are our waters.
Right.
Done.
So I just wanted to play in the background so you guys get an idea.
Barry says, Michelle, in the UK,
visual idea of what fishing looks like in the UK.
Our entire business model is made up of 99% small, medium-sized businesses, mainly of self-employed fishing, food manufacturing, or service industries.
Self-employed people. That's what the backbones of all good societies. Self-employed people.
Yeah.
For sure. And we'll play that. We're going to play that later. Let's see here. Coronavirus UK news. The Queen may be first in line for the COVID jab, as Hancock says vaccine could help ease measures by March. This is pretty crazy. You know what? I don't think that you should be experimenting on the Queen, man. That's just my. I feel like that is like
maybe
a
she
really
thought to
bad
herself, "I've lived a long
move.
life, and so if anybody should be the tester, it'll be me." And I guess the sterility is not an issue for her.
Yeah, the Sunday Times reports it's possible Her Majesty will share news of her jab to encourage fellow Britons to also get vaccinated against the bug. This comes as the health secretary told the Telegraph he can't wait to scrap the blasted tier system and allow to return to normal life with the vaccine. First COVID vaccine arrive at the hospital. The first COVID vaccines have been arriving in hospitals ahead of the first jabs being given out this Tuesday.
Oh dear.
Pictures,
I'm so terrified.
Pictures show the arrival of a batch of vaccines at Brighteon University Hospital in South London over the weekend, with similar scenes unfolding all around the country. On arrival in, how do you say that, guys? Croydon. The batch of vaccines was unboxed by a pharmacy technician wearing specific protective equipment to ensure he is able to safely handle the delivery going into such cold temperatures. After going through final quality control checks, the batch is placed in a freezer to ensure it is kept at the right temperature until it is ready to be used. So there is an exemption list for the vaccine. So we're all going to need to get pregnant real quick. Pregnant women have been advised to not get the vaccine due to a lack of evidence on possible harm. Pregnant women, children under 16, anyone with an allergic reaction to any of the ingredients on the list of the vaccines, and they're telling women not to breastfeed for at least 2 months after being vaccinated, because there's no information out about this, and there's no testing for sterility. There's no testing to see.
What about all the
if this-
inserts that say, and if you are trying to become pregnant? Like, you know, they usually say, you know, if, you know, and not just pregnant women, but if there's a possibility that you are pregnant or you're trying to get pregnant or something like that. This whole thing, guys, this has been so fast-tracked, and I know that Trump is so happy about his Operation Warp Speed thing. Anything that has to be fast-tracked like this, oh my gosh, I'm not trusting it as far as I can throw it.
Yeah.
Leah and I
UK becomes
participated
the first country to approve this coronavirus vaccine.
have participated in several medical research studies.
Several. I know what goes
The very
behind the
last
scene.
one that we participated in, it paid very well, and we said never again. It messed up our systems to this day.
Yeah,
and that goes back years.
We were testing something that was supposed to increase your white blood cell count, and they said, don't worry, it's perfectly safe. There's nothing wrong. Nothing bad can happen to you. It's just used to increase the white blood cell count in cancer patients. This is just a generic of the drug that already is given, and you'll be just fine. And while we were there, what they told us later was that it adversely affects black people more. And some guy almost died while we were there. He went into some shock and almost died, and they had to give him some reverse something. And it was absolutely terrifying.
Don't go giving us a hard time, because we bought into the system for a while. You think to yourself,
You're helping.
You're being part of making these drugs better for
and there
people.
are different companies who have different levels of safety.
Right.
So we did one company who was incredibly safe, and they started their human trials down with 1/120th of a dose of something, and one was Ritalin for kids, and we took 1/80th of Ritalin for kids, and I'm just to see, and then we did these tests to see if our brains were clear. I'm like, dude, whatever. And we've tested things like toothpaste and hair shampoos and things like that, but this particular company in the United States called MedPace, I'm gonna just throw it out there, they are evil, and they're a bad company, and they should be shut down. Just awful. Okay, so everybody could, we looked it up later. They lied to us. They lied to us. There were adverse effects that they did not tell us about.
Not only did they lie to us, but we were told this was an overnight study that we participated in, and we were told that it was a co-ed study, but that you would be in separate rooms with your gender. And we show up, and it was a completely co-ed room. Like there were, we'd stay overnight, and you had a screen, right? Like the kind that are on like the rollers, but it was completely co-ed room. And what's more, okay,
Yeah, the guy.
I had a really awful feeling about one of these guys, and I didn't want to have anything to do with him. And I was like, he was very perverted, and he was very loud and boisterous, and everyone really liked him, but he was and I wouldn't even look at him. And he, to the point where we had an altercation in this research study. He was a large black man. And I was friends with all the other black people. I'm not racist. But this one guy I had an issue with. Well, on like night 2.5, there's all this big commotion. And he comes in and he gets arrested because one of the nurses was searching the wanted profiles with the list. Okay, and he was wanted for sexual assault. So here we are taking part in a study thinking that everybody gets screened. We have to give them our social security number. And so we actually, and I asked the nurses, we're like, what's the deal? And she's like, we don't do a background check. We're like, you don't do a background check on these people? Like,
we wouldn't get enough
she goes,
people.
we wouldn't get enough people if we screened out the people that were wanted. Oh my gosh. So, okay. So, but all of that had nothing to do with the actual drug, but does speak to the companies that are performing these research studies. Yeah. They are not on the up and up. So, and they don't have.
Don't worry. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency has told that everybody can be confident that no corners have been cut.
No, listen, Leah and I are on the inside of these studies, and I can testify to corners being cut. There was one lady that showed up, and we had to do a urine test. Okay, she hid in the bathroom and had a friend come drop something off. Okay, her friend came and dropped off pee for her to pass this drug test. I'm telling you, these corners are cut.
Yeah. They're telling you that it's the protection of vaccines that will ultimately allow us to reclaim our lives and get the economy moving again. Guys, do what you got to do, but I'm not getting a vaccine.
Y'all do what you got to do. Not happening here.
No, that is not my savior. Jesus is my savior. Coronavirus immunity passports likely to be possible, says the UK government science advisors.
No.
The scientific group advising British government has said that Chinese coronavirus immunity passports could be issued to those who have been vaccinated or recovered from the virus. I'm not a big fan of any sort of
not a big fan. No, this is wrong. This is wrong. Straight up.
It is tyranny. It's against all human rights. Absolutely against all human rights.
To say that you can't do something because you don't have some sort of medical anything. And here's the good news.
Yeah.
Even in the UK, and I know I speak to the US a lot because we're Americans, but it'll spread worldwide. Don't worry. We have constitutional rights here, and we have civil rights. And that falls within both of those.
Yeah.
So they will not be able, they will try. Don't get me wrong. They will try, but they will not, trust me. And I feel like all of this fight in our states is for a reason, because it's going to make people fired up. Like we're taking back our constitutional rights here. We're taking back our constitutional rights here. What they did with this election with Biden is the worst possible thing they ever could have tried. They should have just let it alone.
This is my other funny one. Again, you're back into the sex ban.
What? Banning
sex again, triggered for 99% of England. So remember, non-cohabitating couples in tiers 2 and 3, covering 99% of England's residents, are not allowed to stay overnight in each other's houses after the end of the lockdown. After the end of the lockdown. They still can't.
What?
The lockdown is due to end at midnight on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
The tiered system simultaneously coming into force. So with just 3 regions of the country in tier 1, the rest of England will see households mixing indoors banned. Those living in tier 2 may socialize outside in groups of no more than 6. So outside, honey. While in the tier 3, mixing is also banned in most outdoor settings. So you can't see each other. You can't hold hands. You can only talk on the phone. And this is cracking me up because they're banning alcohol everywhere, and they're banning sex in touching at all outside of marriage, outside of living, and I would say marriage, but they're saying cohabitating. You got to live in the same place. Health Secretary Matt Hancock. Remember the guy? I always go back to the guy. What's his name? Who created the whole mess? The Oxford numbers, the paper. Who had the affair while he was telling everybody you have to quarantine. He not only does he mix two houses,
he was having an affair.
He was having an affair with a married person, and he's married. And so, to me, they know it's not important. They know it's not important, okay? You're supposed to also have, you cannot visit unless one person lives on their own and is in a support bubble with their partner's household. So I love how they have this all planned out to how you can get close to somebody else in your life. Now, for me, people need touch and they need hugs, especially like the elderly. And so what this does is it's dehumanizing us. And we've seen some of the movies, right? Where they're like, you're into the proximity zone. And there's that one movie where
The Giver,
where they're in family units, but they never touch each other. There's no touch, there's no holding, there's no hugs, there's no love. And they're literally, it's absolutely insane. They're banning love. It's, and that's why I laugh at it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's scary. No, it's stupid and it's funny. And these guys are ridiculous.
I want to know any of you guys in the UK who know somebody in a situation like that is legitimately taking that seriously. Like, you know what? My partner and I, we definitely can be celibate because what I was told
not
growing
even
up,
that. How about just like we'll just not ever be in proximity with each other.
Right. But I was told the reason why we can't preach abstinence in schools
is because kids are just going to do it.
Not just kids, but sex
People.
is an uncontrollable drive
Right,
that
exactly.
you literally
There's
cannot
nothing
stop
that you can hold back
in the whole world.
So you just have to show people how to do it.
So you
safe.
have to let them because you're never gonna stop them. Okay,
This goes to show you that they're lying out.
So what
both
they
ends.
need is they need COVID bubble suits somehow to create so that you can be close to your partner or whatever. They need to tell you how to do that safely because they have to know that they can't stop you, because that's what I was always taught. We can't preach abstinence because it won't work.
Well, could have just
People
why
can't
didn't
stop
they just
themselves.
arrest? They could have just arrested everybody.
Right.
That would have worked.
Yeah.
Right? All right. After mass protest, France backtracks on the controversial law that would ban filming police. French President Emmanuel Macron's government will rewrite a controversial law that would have banned members of the public from filming police officers. Way to go, guys. The Macron government walked back the plans to implement the controversial Article 24 of the Global Security Law, which would have made it illegal to publish video footage or the identities of officers online after massive protests over the weekend. They saw a ton of riots, you guys, which were in opposition to the proposed law. And I'm glad that that happened. There's also something interesting happening, with like he's had some sort of change of heart or what's going on, but, he's going after these mosques that, preach any sort of, radicalism or separation from the French government. There's hundreds of mosques that they have identified that are in breach of like French law. So wow. Very interesting developments there. Okay, German city launches Christmas drinking ban. This is great. I love this. In hope of fighting coronavirus. So we are Swedish, and every Christmas, which wasn't really that great for us, but my grandfather, who is from Sweden, would make this hot alcoholic drink called julekag. Maybe you guys know what it is, but Leipzig, sorry, I can speak, has completely banned the sale of this hot alcohol. Christmas alcohol is usually in the city, including mulled wine. It's a little spicy, has a little bit of a kick to it. It's
disgusting.
As part of the new coronavirus lockdown restrictions, despite a relatively low number of coronavirus cases, the German city has banned the sale of mulled wine and other hot alcoholic drinks to stop pop-up Christmas markets from forming where people could potentially gather. Leipzig also will ban sales of alcohol from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. at supermarkets, restaurants, petrol stations, and other shops. I did not know that by drinking alcohol after 10 p.m. you are more likely to get coronavirus.
No, to spread coronavirus.
To get or to spread it. Wales, I guess that still bans booze in pubs under another extreme lockdown. Similar measures have been enacted in other cities within Saxony, such as Chemnitz, where alcohol consumption has been banned in the entire city. Visitors to the city center will also be required to wear masks in designated areas from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. The city of Dresden, meanwhile, is allowing alcohol to be consumed in public during the day, and mulled wine stands are being allowed to operate. But from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m., alcohol consumption is banned in much of the city center. I love these time stamps on these things. It kind of goes to show you it's way more about control than anything else.
Which, once again, though, is it consolidates people. So instead of spreading them out throughout the night, it's just consolidating people into a
even though in Leipzig, coronavirus cases, just cases, not deaths or hospitalizations, are under 200 per 100,000 people.
Oh my God.
Those are just cases, and we know how they're testing people who are even symptomless, right?
I don't understand how we are complying with this, and I get it because I get it, but it's just I don't know. I don't understand how we are putting up with this.
Yeah, there was something else that I wanted to talk about with that, those numbers, because it's I'm gonna get to my thought here, but Nigel Farage investigates, and he investigated the entrapment of the pub guy who just can. I can't believe that they went for the entrapment. Oh, but. Our volume went off. Oh yeah. Again with the flu. There's no flu.
Right.
There's no flu. Even in the UK, there's no flu. Where'd the flu go? Where did the flu go? Guys, we are in a time and a season where I think we never recognized that there were people who get the flu bad and end up in the hospital.
And then some of them
die. But right now, ain't nobody getting the flu. Because everyone who's getting sick is getting COVID. You tell me how that works.
But hospitality was to pay the price. It has been a catastrophic year for pubs, wine bars, in fact, anybody.
Let me just, pubs...
You're going to have to start controlling your own
Okay,
mind.
sorry. Pubs in the UK are completely different than here in the United States. I actually appreciate these small pubs. It's not so much about drinking. There are these wonderful little community gathering events where, Horatio says that somebody might have an extra chicken that they butchered that day and would come and sell the chickens in the pub. And it's where the talks of politics are done. I believe it's more of a community. It's a family atmosphere. Ours are just let's just party and drink and debauchery pretty much. But there are community socializing events, and they are to be highly encouraged. We should have them instead of the watering hole where you're just going to go and get drunk and a bunch of slimy people are at. You should be able these nice little places where communities can gather and talk over things should be a tradition for everyone.
Now tilt this up.
In the hospitality trade.
Down.
Now, from tomorrow, some pubs in the country are reopening, others in Tier 3, life for them is pretty much impossible. In Wales, that maniac Drakeford, who's the First Minister, has now banned alcohol in pubs, something that Cromwell didn't even manage to achieve. But what I've come to have a look at today, and this episode of Nigel Farage Investigates, I've come to Barnes, here on the River Thames. I've come to the Waterman's Arms, which is an old historic venue, where not only have they suffered through lockdown, but they've actually, in the most awful, horrible way, been taken on by the authorities in an attempt to close them down. And I think, frankly, it's tough enough for the pubs as it is. Let's go and find out what happened here at the Waterman's Arms in Barnes. All right. So in lockdown 2, on November the 20th, here at the Waterman's Arms, and of course, pubs were closed but allowed to do off sales. The manager, Adam Sanford, Adam, you were here, yeah?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
So I was standing by the door here. Gentleman comes up, asks for a pint of bitter. Tell him it all has to be pre-ordered online in advance, then to take away. He then says his phone is not working. Asks if I can do him a favour just this once. I tell him again it has to be pre-ordered. He's quite persistent. I say, okay, just this once, but in the future it does have to be pre-ordered and taken away. So pour the drink for him, come back, and then him and another gentleman here with their council badges.
Working for the local council?
Yeah.
In trading standards, presumably?
Yeah.
And
licensing.
And how did you react to that?
Shocked, completely. Yeah, yeah.
Did you manage to keep your temper?
I did. I was, obviously a bit shaken up and thought, I can't believe this has just happened.
So they came to trick you?
Yeah, it felt that way. Yeah, it felt like they had it in for us.
And did you feel, apart from that during lockdown that you had, as a pub, been obeying the law?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Gosh. And what did they say then? So they showed you their ID. What did they then say to you?
They then said, what you've done is against the rules, took down my details, asked for my personal license details, and then said these are a few of the things that can happen, read out the Miranda rights, and said you'll be hearing from us.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Isn't that unbelievable? I mean, just unbelievable. Haven't they got better things to do than to come and victimise someone like Adam, who is clearly trying to do his best in lockdown to keep the place going by doing off-sales? I find the whole thing extraordinary. I'm going to go in a minute and speak to the boss, and let's find out what happened next. Well, it's a family business. They specialise in real ales, craft beers. There's even a brewery in the family. And at the top of the tree is veteran publican. Can I call you that, Dick Morgan?
Well, I suppose so.
Just how tough a year has it been with the pub industry?
Well, as you can imagine, the whole of industry and business, it's been very tough with the restrictions caused by the virus.
Yeah.
But, for the hospitality industry, it's been particularly difficult, and especially in this last period, because we seem to have been victimised, if I could use that word. Most industries.
Just talking to your manager, Adam, about what happened here on the 20th of November. I mean, have you seen anything, in all your years, in pubs and hospitality, have you ever seen licensing behave like that?
Well, I mean, I've seen some very strange things happen over the years, but I mean, basically it's what they call entrapment. They've created, for the want of a better word, a crime to be committed by their own actions.
Yeah, I mean, my view is that the industry's in enough trouble as it is. There are a lot of pubs are going to close, let alone behaving like this. So Adam clearly was doing his best and, was talked into giving them a pint, and they show their ID. What happened next?
Well, they then used that to issue a prohibition notice against us using the click and collect system for people to be able to collect their beer, which then meant we might as well shut the premises.
So they closed it down?
They basically closed us down, which is what they wanted to do.
So you were victimised?
Oh, absolutely.
So how long were you closed down for, effectively?
Just over a week.
Just over a
week.
week.
Reopen tomorrow, along with every other establishment. Yeah.
And will they be back on your case?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, I find it astonishing. Well, look, there's a story. It's just one pub here in Barnes, but one thing's for certain, potentially thousands of pubs could close all over this country. I'm not sure our politicians, our leaders, many of whom are slightly odd individuals, I don't think they go into pubs. They're not big socialisers. They don't get how important pubs are, not just in terms of income and taxation and jobs they provide, but within a community. I'm also going to say this. Every pub's a parliament. It's in pubs where we discuss current affairs. It's in pubs where we listen to other opinions. In pubs we make our mind up on whether we like the England football manager or whatever else it may be. Maybe if the pubs were open, there'd be a bit more resistance to government policy on lockdown. Exactly. Not that I'm suggesting that's why they've closed them down, but pubs really matter. They're an integral part of society. They're something that we on these islands have done better, I think, than anywhere else in the world. We're having a dreadfully tough time. If you can local pub in any way, but I must say, what has happened
right there. Well, you could see it better a minute ago, but I was just reading this. We've got Pizza Monday, 2 for $1 on all pizzas. Steak Tuesday, filet 16 pounds, ribeye 14 pounds, bottomless brunch Saturday. I mean, this is a restaurant where people need to go to be able to eat the food. And it's like, most of us go to restaurants like that or pubs like that for the experience, not just for the food. So they're not going to they are penalizing these businesses for something that has a 90 whatever % recovery
99,
rate.
99.
I mean, it's all about control. And I think that what we're going to see moving forward is an uprising
Yes.
that has been needed for a really long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
here?
Oh, sorry guys. Okay, it's not that the microphone is off. It's a matter of tilting it up or down.
On a regular basis.
Okay.
A well-run pub that's done its absolute best to abide by the law and abide by the regulations, and entrapped by a local authority, licensing officers who should be ashamed of themselves. And this is it. This is it. London Borough of Richmond upon Thames. Prohibition notice. The Waterman's Arms. Well, there you are.
There you are.
I mean, it's just absolutely astonishing. You know, you do hear about entrapment going on, but for an industry that's having the worst year in its history, that has been back into the second phase of lockdown, that faces even here in Tier 2 from tomorrow, you know, it's not going to be easy to get business back to anything like it was before. And to be served a prohibition notice because someone conned young Adam working on the front desk. I think the whole thing is...
Adam, I'm sorry, young Adam, that you were entrapped and conned.
Listen to this though, hang on. Because she always does that and then I have to fix the things.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just don't like us to turn into like really dark. But anyway, when we look at police officers that will start conversations with people that are trying to take advantage of underage girls online, and then they get them to a meetup or whatever, they're starting with the premise that this person is suspected of having been doing these things. All right, I'm sure they have some sort of proof to be able to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in this case, this specific pub was not willy-nilly doing these underhanded dealings with people that just show up like, hey mate, just give us a pint, you know, like, and then they go and they get it. That's not how this was working, because he said to them twice, no, you have to use.
But then they insisted.
And they insisted. And so there could not have been an already like established suspicion that made them go in and do that. And to me, that's what makes it far more heinous.
Far more nefarious. Rona forever. Government scientists suggest Britons could be wearing masks for years. They're saying that here in the United States, Dr. Fauci and all those people are just like, well, we had the flu and stuff like that. It's this weird thing. I do believe they just want to be able to commit crimes, because you really can't tell exactly who a person is while they're wearing the face mask.
Yeah.
We're just trying to see if that Georgia lawmaker was the girl or not, but you could tell because it's the masks.
People are able to commit crimes with face masks. That's why criminals have historically always worn them.
Yeah. So to me, I feel I just see long issues in the future. So I say no. There are some rumblings about ISIS plotting Christmas attacks in Europe. for the Mohammed cartoons. I don't know, and I just wonder I think to myself, well, you're so busy going after pub guy for selling you a pint. It's like you are keeping an open door there, so you know. But in Hungary, Viktor Orban is sticking to his guns on the EU spending veto. Brussels moves to outmaneuver Budapest and Warsaw. So Hungarian Prime Minister, who is strong and steady in a rock, Viktor Orban, is sticking to his guns over his power to veto the EU's entire 7-year budget over a new rule of law condition that would leave the door open for Brussels to blackmail conservative countries like Hungary and Poland.
Good.
So Hungary and Poland sensationally blocked the European Union's budget using their veto powers last month after a long-term political disagreement came to a head, namely whether the cash Brussels distributes to member states in the name of solidarity should go to those who need it most or be restricted to those members that do as the EU leaders command. This new condition of receiving money, or rather the ability for Brussels to stop handing it out in response to claimed infractions, came as a particular concern to Poland and Hungary as they have clashed with the EU's liberal mainstream on mass migration and open borders for months. Remember, these EU member nations are supposed to be autonomous nations, and then they have certain things they agree on in the European Union, and Brussels wants to rule it all. Angela Merkel and her little coalition, it is a strong arm here because the new condition has been written into the forthcoming 7-year budget and coronavirus recovery package against their protests, and the only option remains to Budapest and Warsaw, they claimed, was either to accept that Brussels could blackmail them into accepting political dictates from the center forever
In perpetuity,
or use the nuclear option of vetoing the budget in use. As Germany's Deutsch Wells reports,
isn't it just Deutsch?
Deutsch. I don't know why you keep
saying Deutsch.
I know it's Deutsch. I know it's Deutsch. I'm sorry.
We grew up on our mom took German in high school. And she would go around speaking mild bits of German, so I don't know, and that was one of them. Sorry. Maybe it's a Freudian slip.
It is got to be you bunch of boogers. Nearly 3 weeks later, the Hungarians have not shifted and remain committed to keeping the new budgetary requirements out. Hungary Today reports Orban's comments to Hungarian national radio on Friday morning, where the prime minister was specific about his concerns on allowing what he called the so-called rule of law tool. Viktor Orban said they want to be able to shoot down Hungary and Poland's opposition to migration with a simple majority vote. That's what this is all about. That's what is the rule of law tool would be used for, addressing the rumors that Hungary would compromise if the EU inserted a more explicit clause about when and where the rule of law tool could be used. He was bullish and said that adding some sort of declaration won't cut it. Hungary is adamant that the two issues should be separated. The Hungarian leader also dismissed the idea that the nation's ally in this matter, Poland, would fold and leave him isolated. Mr. Orban pointed out that Hungary and Poland had already signed an agreement of mutual support that they would back each other up. Way to go, guys. Always been cousins and brothers in arms there. The European Union's own internal democratic system gives every member state, from the largest and the richest to the smallest and the humblest, a veto power that was intended to prevent a majority of powerful states bullying or railroading the others. In this way, it provided a particularly important reassurance to the smaller post-communist and Balkan states that have joined the bloc in recent decades that they could apply the handbrake on key issues when needed without fear of being overruled by the small club of wealthy northern European states that pay for the lion's share of the EU budget and generally set the tone for the proceedings. Yet despite this, the EU is already looking at ways to move ahead with the budget, sidestepping Hungary and Poland as they do, potentially making a mockery of the bloc's own safeguards. It's kind of like the U.S. election. Britain's aggressively pro-European Union newspaper, the Financial Times, reports the remarks of the EU Budget Commissioner Johannes Hahn, who warned Hungary and Poland that he would cut them out of the bloc's recovery fund if he had to. Very interesting here that they could just like unilaterally just like totally do something and and they want to tell the world that they're not totalitarian thugs. Whatever. Ironically enough, perhaps proving Orban's point that the EU wanted to financially punish uncooperative members, warning that the decision by Budapest and Warsaw would backfire on their own citizens, as EU funds would stop flowing into the countries if they stayed in this course. Han said, I think the message starts to arrive that both countries would lose significant money next year or risk to lose even more. Responding to the EU's plan to circumvent reluctant Central European nations, Orban held his line, explaining that not being included in the plan meant not talking on shared debt on behalf of less stable member states like Greece and Italy.
So, A12 says, let's hope Italy becomes more restless. Soon it will be only Germany and France holding the entire EU up, and there's already unrest there. The EU doesn't even like you to have your own flag. That says it all.
It does say it all. It really does. Remember when they were waving their flag? All right, guys. So why don't we take a moment here in our show? I don't know. Let's see what's going on. Northern Italy region rebels against government and reopens for business. I wanted to share this. I thought this was some good news. The Northern Italy region of Val d'Aosta has defied coronavirus restrictions imposed on the central government, declaring itself a yellow zone and reopening restaurants, bars, shops, and businesses. In a November 3rd decree, Italian Prime Minister Conte imposed national restrictions covering the entire territory, as well as regional restrictions based on 3-tiered ranking system. I wonder where he got that from. Yellow, orange, and red. But you have Valle d'Aosta, regional President Eric Eric has claimed a regional autonomy over the freedom of movement of its citizens, economic activities, and social relations, and has signed a law allowing the reopening of retail stores, bars, museums, religious services, restaurants, libraries, and other businesses. The regional council confirmed the mandate to wear a mask even outdoors. That's stupid. As well as the national ban on gatherings. The Minister for Regional Autonomy, Francesco Boccia, immediately warned the Aosta Valley Council that the move would be challenged in what is being labeled as an institutional clash between the city's central government and local authorities. So I think the more local, the level of fear that the coronavirus has been able to implement in people, even while you're not seeing the bodies pile up like we did in Italy. Remember we saw the bodies and people in the crematoriums, and everything was just overflowing with dead bodies everywhere. Now that would be a situation for the lockdowns and have to wear masks outside and all this stuff, but you're not seeing that right now. And people, it's a seasonal thing. We have a seasonal flu. You're not going to eradicate it. You need to be outside. Wearing masks outside is stupid because you need vitamin D, and the more skin you have exposed to the sun, the better. And so we just need to eliminate the fear. And I think that we have to do that with the gospel of Jesus Christ. You talked about it today. We have to eliminate fear. And I think I'm guilty of it a little bit myself with the COVID as it came out. And I believe that I think that we covered it a lot, and there was a lot to cover.
I'll tell you why we did, though.
Well, I'm going to finish. Fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so now we have this flip-flop where nobody was taking us seriously in the beginning, and these numbers were coming out, and they were coming out huge, right? But what were these numbers? I mean, the stuff coming out of Italy seemed to be legit and real, and you can only go by what people tell you. And then you begin to see this wider plan.
Well, so I can tell you exactly what happened, okay? Leah and I do the very best that we can on our show to bring you all of the facts. Now, when something is hidden,
right,
we have to dig really deep to find what the facts are. Right. But a lot of you that are in the chat here today were with us during that time, and they were trying to lie about where it came from.
Right.
It seemed like they were trying to cover it up. Mm-hmm. It's the mainstream media and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and everybody was coming out.
No big deal, no big deal.
It's not a big deal. There's nothing to see here. Just don't worry about it. Go about your lives.
Keep everything open.
I don't think that we did anything other than, I don't think there was any way to know. And Tucker Carlson was in the same boat as we were. We were ahead of Tucker on bringing this to you guys. We were ahead of everybody going, guys, this is happening in China and it's happening in Italy. And if we don't get a hold of this, it's going to come here, right? And everybody on the left was going, no, 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 it's no big deal. Trump's a xenophobe. He's shutting down travel, yada, yada, yada. Now, at some point, it got disseminated amongst everyone that needed to know, no, 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 guys. We actually need this to become a thing. We need you to make everybody afraid and all of that. And so that's when we started to wake up to it. That's when Tucker started to wake up to it. That's when a lot of us started to wake up to this. But as we started to wake up to it, then we were treated like you are a virus denier.
Right.
No, we're not denying it, but something doesn't smell right here.
Right.
And so we continued to unfold and to dig until we did finally get to the truth.
Yeah.
So poor Italy, who was ground zero, they had people dying. People were in their hospitals. They were actually kind of killing people with the respirators.
They were killing people with the ventilators.
That was happening. It was a real virus and they weren't treating it properly.
You notice they didn't put Boris on a ventilator?
So that's how it all went down. And I don't feel badly that we were like, what else were we supposed to think when they were trying to cover it up and downplay it?
No one was getting better on the ventilators.
Right.
People were, and we learned this later. Okay, these things unfolded right before our eyes, and so we can only do real-time reporting. And it's kind of like with Syria and the bombing. And once you know what's happening, once you know John McCain, and you put these information out about the white helmets and things like that, we aren't people who are stuck in some sort of way. Okay, I know Jesus Christ is my Savior, and He died and He rose again, and I know the Word of God is true yesterday, today, and forever. And beyond that, everything's up for change or new facts that come to light, right? And so as this began to unfold, it's very simple that China released some sort of virus on purpose. They held a intense 4D chess game of both repressing information and releasing information. And they had bots out there, and my first tell that this wasn't as big of a deal was a white paper that went out because Twitter had a bunch of Chinese bots that were designed to tell people Trump is not handling this well. It's a bigger deal than Trump is making it out to be. Wait, whoa. China wants us to think it's a big deal.
Right.
Okay? Suddenly, China was... Nothing gets... And this actually scares me. Not really scares me, but like, what I realize now, nothing leaks from China.
Yeah.
There are no internal leaks from China.
Well, except for the Hong Kong protests.
That's Hong Kong.
Exactly.
Okay, if something is getting out beyond the testimony of the Uyghurs who have left the country, right? But
you mean like the footage?
The footage of spraying down. They were releasing the footage of spraying everything down. They were releasing footage of how fast they built that hospital.
They released the footage of the girl eating the bat soup.
Yes. This was literally World War III. This was the bombing of Hiroshima in a cyber on all fronts. It was cyber done. They were attacking our systems, and they did send people here to spread a virus that is spreadable, okay, and that is changeable, but they don't have control over it. It mutates.
Well, and I think that it was supposed to be more serious than it ended up being, and that's what you get when you have a man-made virus.
Yeah.
It's a Frankenstein. It's unpredictable, and I think that it's kind of like Rocket Man's rockets that he shot up that kind of just fizzled a little bit. And so what they've had to do, like with the fake ballots here in the U.S., is they've had to use the media to keep hyping it up. I don't think that it was intended to be as non-lethal and crazy as it actually ended up being. I think it was supposed to be intense.
I think it was too.
And it just didn't, and it kind of failed because their Frankenstein kind of got out and kind of fell over and like, no, we got a big scary Frankenstein. You know, I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I think I do too. All right, guys, there's a lot more going on here. China licking its chops to get Biden in. Just they really want to take over the world. I have a little piece of good news, and let's get ready for the mail call.
Here's the deal. The show's not over. I think we're gonna break before we go back to U.S. elections.
We're gonna do
with the mail call.
We want to make sure we get our mail call done.
We're gonna get the mail call. Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, and I'll say this again at the end of the show, and I wish I had led with it. Next Sunday, Lord willing, we'll likely be streaming on our Masfaith3 channel.
Okay.
Again. Okay. I weighed it in the balance because we're getting a lot of subscribers here on Resistance Chicks. I still haven't decided what to do.
I haven't decided either because there's a
every day we're gaining subscribers on Resistance Chicks. On Masfaith3 we are gaining them, but they pull them. Now they pull them on Resistance Chicks too, but they pull them even more on our Masfaith3 channel.
I don't know if we shouldn't just wait to do like breaking news. I don't know because and the breaking news seems to send up a third strike and that channel's gone.
But they're not striking our current videos. And so I don't know if our current videos are
tripping up
a review of old videos.
Scrutiny. So it's almost like you want to go back and delete everything. I'm sure there's like I'm sure there's like 100 that talk about the religion that shall not be named. And if they start to watch some of those videos, I don't know what they could flag anything.
They could flag our homestead stuff. I mean, they could flag. We never know what it's going to be that they're going to flag. And we literally are on a hair's breadth on that channel. It's 3 strikes totally and they will delete every video on that channel and the entire channel forever. And we have 2 already.
Right.
So I don't know. And they're stupid. They're non-existent. I have them in appeal. I have 2 in appeal that have yet to be reviewed. They're not even looking at them. They're not even giving me a chance.
Right.
Now, a lot of times I'll submit an appeal and they get back with me within a couple of days with a decision, whether it's upheld or they strike it down. I've had that happen on Resistance Chicks channel and on Masfaith3. With these ones, I have an appeal from a warning that they gave us like a year and a half ago, and they haven't gotten back with me on that appeal. And then I've got an appeal on the latest one, and they still haven't gotten back with me on it.
So what about the copyright? What about the takedown? They got back with us, and they reversed that, didn't they, with the Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
They finally, but it took like a month.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, I have some good news. There's some saneness prevailing here in the UK. The UK's High Court rules children under 16 cannot make wise decisions on hormone treatments to alter their biological sex.
Nice.
Yeah, so children under the age of 16 can no longer get puberty-blocking transgender hormones unless they can show an understanding of the risks and costs. The judgment today is a watershed moment. A response to the ruling on the transgender trend website says, as a society, we must ask ourselves how we allow this to happen. The threats, the bullying, and the silencing of alternative views must stop here. But Molly Hemingway says, in a landmark ruling that will have repercussions around the world, the High Court today ruled that puberty-blocking and cross-sex hormones are experimental treatments which cannot be given to children in most cases without application to the court. Even for children under 18, doctors may need to consult the court for authorization for hormone or other treatment. 3 senior judges ruled in the suit brought against Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust, which operates a gender identity development service for children. The 19-page judgment effectively introduces guidelines for the way in which the London clinic handles young patients who experience gender dysphoria, the condition where they are distressed because of a mismatch between their perceived identity and their sex at birth. The claim was brought by Kira Bell, a 23-year-old woman who began taking puberty blockers when she was 16 before detransitioning, and the unnamed mother of a 15-year-old autistic girl who was on the waiting list for treatment. In their decision, Dame Victoria Sharp, a president of the Queen's Bench Division, Lord Justice Lewis, and Mrs. Justice Levine Levine, said a child under the age of 16 may only consent to the use of medication intended to suppress puberty where he or she is competent to understand the nature of the treatment. Such an understanding must include the immediate and long-term consequences of the treatment, the limited evidence available to its efficacy or purpose, and the fact that the vast majority of patients proceed to the use of cross-sex hormones and its potential life-changing consequences on a child.
So what this reminds me of, and it's still not a win-win because it should be banned altogether, but requiring mothers to view an ultrasound before they have an abortion to understand and to take that a step further for mothers to be able to know what the other options are.
So in the U.S., that age would probably be closer to 18 because the laws of consent, sexual consent in the U.K. are 16.
Okay.
So I would see that, if this was taken over here in the U.S., our laws are 18. Because listen to how the judge breaks this down. It is highly unlikely that a child aged 13 or under would be competent. So she breaks it down.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely anybody under 13 can do this. It's just highly no way, okay? It's doubtful, so highly unlikely and doubtful that a child age 14 or 15 could understand and weigh the long-term risks and consequences of the administration of puberty blockers. The judge said they believed persons 16 or over could be mature enough to consent to treatment unless the end game is surgical sex reassignment, okay? So you can't chop off the body parts, okay? I mean, seriously, in America, you can't get a tattoo unless you're 18.
Right.
Okay? Given the long-term consequences of the clinical interventions at issue in this case, and given that the treatment is as yet innovative and experimental, we recognize that clinicians may well regard these as cases where the authorization of the court should be sought prior to commencing the clinical treatment. At a hearing in October, lawyers for the claimants argued that children going through puberty are not capable of properly understanding the nature and effects of hormone blockers.
Good.
You don't know what you're blocking.
Yeah.
Okay. The Tavistock organization treats children who live in England and Wales. In the year 2019 to 2020, of 161 children referred to the GIDS, 3 were aged 10 or 11, and this would help a lot of kids. All right. The spokesperson for Tavistock said that they would appeal.
Well, of course we know they're going to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Barry says, Michelle, you can't get a tattoo in the UK until you're 18 either. So you can't get something permanent on your skin that actually can be reversed. They can take it off and you'll have a little scar. You can't get that until you're 18, but you can irrevocably alter your hormones and your gender before you are 18. So I see the only answer for this is there are no age limits for anything.
Right.
No age limits to vote, no age limits to sleep around, no age limits to get a gender change. I mean, no age limits to drink or smoke or anything like that. You cannot have any age limits at all. If you to drive, 3-year-olds can drive a car. I mean, as long as they can pass the test, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have age limits for anything if they're gonna allow this.
So Kira Bell says this is about protecting vulnerable children. She said that clinics should have challenged her more over her decision to transition to male as a teenager. The 23-year-old was prescribed puberty blockers when she was 16 years old.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So that's actually good news, and I'm happy about this. This is that they're making, but it's sad that it had to come this way. Ruth Institute praises UK ban on puberty blockers for gender confused kids. The Global Interfaith Ruth Institute has lauded a recent UK court ruling on what we just spoke about. The president, Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse, PhD, hailed this decision as a victory of common sense. She speaks about Kira Bell. At the time, Bell said she believed the treatment would help her achieve happiness, but later she regretted the decision and last year began trying to reverse the process. It was heartbreaking to realize I had gone down the wrong path, Bell said, adding that the drugs had irreparably damaged her body and likely left her sterile.
This is just so infuriating. I mean, what it reminds me of are the experiments that they did on people back in the 40s and the 50s and putting them in psych wards and homes and sterilizing them. And I mean, this is leeches kind of stuff. Like, this is pure doctor crazy science here.
So Dr. Morse really points this out. Okay, most of the time and oftentimes those who have this gender dysphoria have a lot of other psychological problems, and if you tell them, if you take this and if you transition and blah blah blah, you're gonna feel better, and the culture is saying it's so cool to come out and it's the in thing to do. It's very dangerous. This is the author of The Sexual State, How Elite Ideologies Are Destroying Life. These children are pushed into life altering decisions by activists intent on promoting a cause. Let's see. The UK, we talked about that, the silencing of the UK. So last February, the UK scrapped proposed changes to the Gender Recognition Act that would have made it easier for children to change their gender. Praise God for that. So the proposed measure launched by former Prime Minister Theresa May in 2018 was ditched. She wasn't a conservative. Over fears that it would negatively impact children who lack the decision-making capabilities to make such a transition for themselves. For years, the prestigious U.S.-based American College of Pediatricians has insisted that encouraging children into believing a lifetime of chemical and surgical interposition of the opposite sex is normal and healthy is child abuse.
Yeah.
A lifetime of chemicals, a lifetime of surgical alterations.
Right.
That's healthy in some way.
And I think also what we're seeing in these situations, I try to put myself back in my younger self and what it was like to grow up. We knew two girls in youth group who came out as bisexual. They're both happily married right now to men.
I know.
All right.
With kids.
Well, one of them has kids, but childhood in America right now, and even 20 years ago, when I was going through it, is hard, and you want to feel special. You want to stand out.
Yes.
You're very confused because the world is a very scary and weird place, and you're just trying to navigate it. And a lot of it comes with Lord of the Flies type peer pressure stuff. Okay, so I see these kids going through this stuff, and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of one of these confused, and not really confused, but just kind of really seeking attention. And you get yourself so far into it, and deep inside you kind of know, like, I shouldn't be doing this, but to keep up the facade and to keep up the lie that you've perpetuated, you almost feel trapped. And then you have these outside adults putting pressure on you that you need to transition. This is who you are. If you want to be, and so you do it, and you're almost forced to sign away your life.
Yeah.
By outside pressure of full-grown adults who know what they are doing.
Yeah, the ACP declared that a person's belief that he or she is something they are not is at best a sign of confused thinking. Gender dysphoria describes a problem that exists in the mind and not the body, and it should be treated as such. Gender dysphoria is a condition that is in your mind. It is in your mind. It needs to be treated in your mind. In your mind. In 2018, the ACP reacted strongly to proposed guidelines by the ultra-progressive American Academy of Pediatrics that urged parents to accept the preferred gender identity of their children regardless of their biological sex, insisting that the guidelines are grounded upon unscientific gender ideology rather than any hard evidence. Right. The ACP doctors argue that the assumption that gender dysphoria is innate contradicts all relevant data and is based on an ideology rather than a science. Studies have shown, the ACP argued, that the perspective of an innate gender identity arising from prenatally feminized or masculinized brains trapped in the wrong body is in fact an ideological belief that has no basis in any rigorous science.
There you go. Science is something that can be repeated.
Boom.
Can be proven. There's
no science that prenatally you have a gender identity inside of you that does not match your physical body.
Yeah.
false.
And I mean, most of us looking at this from the outside can say the number of young people, of youth that are coming out, and we're going to get to the election stuff, right?
We're going to do mail call.
Right, I know. I just want to make sure people aren't thinking this is the end of the show and they're just going to leave on me.
Don't leave.
Don't leave. Let me gotta fix the.
But we keep putting off the mail call, and
We
if
do,
we don't
we
do
do.
it in the middle of the
Hang
show,
on.
I'd rather get to the end where we can't do election stuff.
When you're looking at that should fix it. These poor young people making these decisions. They aren't informed. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing, and they are very emotionally unstable people.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. It's just the truth. They need Jesus. They need love. They need people to come in and step in and say, you don't have to be this way. You don't have to feel. The number that has grown is so large that there have been historically people that have had gender, homosexual type things. They weren't as much hiding in the closet. Some of them were, as much as they just didn't exist. Anybody that can look at this and say, no, there's not 50% of youth now stepping out and saying, I was born this way. I don't know my gender. Historically, this has never happened before. So either it is completely on the outside being pushed, or something's in the water and the medication and the vaccines that is happening, or in our society. You can hand them to me over here if you want. Or in our society as a whole that is just so wrong. Okay. So let's start with the cards, and we'll do Barry's package last, and then whatever that big thing is, you can bring that over. So Dale, are you the one that has been sending all of the? Nobody is claiming all of the stickers that are being sent. No, they're all being sent anonymously, and no one is claiming who they are. Oh, stop the steal sticker!
Oh my gosh! Yay!
Those are going on the cars. Oh, that's awesome. That's so exciting. Yes, Lord. Thank you. I want to know who sent that for sure. That can go there.
That's going on the back of the Jeep right now.
Yeah, it is. Totally is. It might go on the back of something else too. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's two of them, so.
I'm thinking the big van. We can put it in the window like we did the InfoWars sticker. I'll clean that up later. I didn't bring my knife down. I didn't even, because I've got a dress on. I didn't even put it on.
This is so fun. We haven't been to the post office in a while. There might be something
there.
There
might be something there. Well, anything like that might get saved for Christmas. The Christmas
We
one.
have been so busy that when we go out, it's like out and come back, and then we've been doing all
we're
these
streaming.
We're just streaming
because I'm not even sure what's going to happen next. Because there's something in Georgia that's supposed to happen too, here. So we'll see if we can get to that.
Not believing the White House.
I know those were really funny. All right, let's see. You want to read that one out loud?
Yeah. Doc, how long is this COVID thing going to last? How the heck would I know? I'm a doctor, not a politician.
All right, we live in a generation of emotionally weak people. Everything has to be watered down because it's offensive, even the truth. That's really good.
Ooh, that's one's
pretty
good.
Spot on. All right, you want to read the next one? Oh, that's funny.
She will be an inspiration for young girls. If you sleep with powerfully connected men, then you too can play a second fiddle to a man with dementia. It's a Cinderella story.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right, if your hatred for one man is greater than your love of country, then you are the problem.
Ooh.
Donald Trump there. That's really good. Okay, I think going along with these, the theme would be the big one if you can open that at your feet. I'm going to guess.
Okay.
I think it's a yard sign.
Oh, you think so?
I do think it's a yard sign.
Why didn't I think of that?
I don't know. Maybe because I've made one before, so I know what they look like.
I was thinking some sort of piece of artwork, but it sure feels like a yard sign. That somebody worked really hard to get
Packaged.
packaged. Yeah. Really hard.
Dale wants to know, what if somebody had sent you a fruitcake and we hadn't opened it? Well, nothing here felt like a fruitcake. Britt Baza says, Michelle, you should have opened my parcel 3 weeks ago. It was a freshly cooked fish and chip supper. I doubt it. And I didn't smell that.
Uh-oh, it's here.
Are you kidding? Dale, was this you? Woo! Yes, Lord. Oh, that's so good. Here, wait. Let's get, there we go. There it is. Wait for it. Oh, that's so good. Who sent this? I want to know. Dale, you have to let us know if it was you in the chat. And if it wasn't, I want to know who it was. That's so good. Thank you. Thank you. This is going in the yard today.
You better put a hashtag on it.
Yeah. Stop the steal. So good. So good. So good. Now, I have I think that this is Kelly's, I think it's a birthday card. Because she kept asking me, Thanksgiving wishes. And this came late. I don't know why it came late. Not only did we not open it on time, but it also came really late. Leah, Michelle, and family. Wishing you joys and abundance, rich memories, favorite foods, and the blessing of family and friends to surround your table. Thank you for all of the great videos you bring to us. God bless your friend, Kelly from California. Thank you, Kelly. That's a really pretty card. It's a really pretty card. Dale Jones says, I think it was So What. It was not So What that sent the Stop the Steal sign.
That is a really pretty card.
That is really pretty, Kelly. All right, so Barry, we've been trying to get this package opened.
He had to send it a long time ago because mail is like really slow from the UK.
I don't have my knife.
So much
I don't even know how I'm
tape.
gonna get in this thing. Dale, I will not be able to get into this without a knife. No, not a pen. A pen is not going to cut it, man. I'm telling you. Here, let me try. Here, we're gonna work on that. I'll go get something.
We can do it. We got all kinds of stuff in the basement to make. It's almost like a game. There's one. I got some off. There, you duct taped this thing. It was like, get it.
I got a box cutter.
Oh, she's got a box cutter. But look, I almost got it.
You did. Not a very sharp one.
Well,
The blade needs to be
please
replaced.
be careful.
I'm being careful.
Sometimes not sharp things are dangerous too.
No, always not sharp things are dangerous.
No,
Is the
not
bottom of the box?
not always. Not always.
Oh,
Maybe-
Dale, wait a minute.
Oh
Let's
shoot!
hope there's not a card that you taped on here.
You said it's not Dale.
Or not Dale, Barry, sorry. This is not, I can't use this. This is dead.
We're having some technical difficulties, but we're gonna make it happen. I'm undoing the tape. Here I go. But it might be better if we undid the tape like this. Maybe you found some scissors.
I do have scissors.
Right here, maybe. Don't have us do surgery. Cut a little over here. You want a haircut? A little over here, a little over there. Oh, fun!
All right, we're good.
Aww.
Okay, so I'm going to open the card first.
Based on a true story, The Fisherman's Friend.
Oh, that looks really fun.
A fast-living, cynical London music executive heads to a remote Cornish village on a stag weekend where he's pranked by his boss and trying to sign a group of shanty singing fishermen. He becomes the ultimate fish out of water as he struggles to gain the respect or enthusiasm of the unlikely boy band and their families, who value friendship and community over fame and a way of life. So, oh, that's so
That looks
cool.
really fun. That looks really, really fun.
Fisherman's
I'm looking forward to
Friends.
that.
Oh, I
That'll be
love
awesome.
it.
All right, this is really cute. This card here. I love that. It's a doggy. Okay, Michelle and Leah, due to the pandemic this year and the lockdowns on your birthday and Christmas, all your birthday and Christmas gifts got sent in one parcel. I know it's not ideal, but don't have a lot of choice. Unfortunately, I hope you had and are going to have great birthdays and Christmases. Thanks for all of your shows. They are so full of positive humor and outlook, and you're a beacon of light in some dark times. Keep up the good work, Barry Britt Baza. That looks whatever
What
that
is
is. That looks
this?
incredible. Open it.
These chocolates are made in Burville's factory in a garden. Named after Dorothy Canterbury's chocolates come like this before. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Let me smell it. Oh boy. It smells really good.
I've never
Oh my gosh.
seen
Hang on. Wait.
anything like this.
I've got a Rose's caramel here.
Truffles.
pull up the
Why do
chat
you
here.
keep sending these things?
Because you love us.
I don't know. I am not sure. Strawberry Dream.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Here we go. I can't get it out of
Tangy
the
Orange
wrapper.
Cream.
Here we go.
Hazel Whirl.
Oh wow. Oh, that's yummy.
I don't know, Barry.
That's super yummy.
I don't know.
Okay, 2 of these orange. These are so good. You open them up, and there's a wedge. They're like, have you guys ever had these before?
Terry's chocolate wedges. They're like, and they
Barry says all girls love chocolate.
made with real
That's a
orange
fact.
oil.
That's a bona fide fact. These are so good.
Okay, you want us to save these? I guess we're opening them.
We're opening.
It's Christmas season, right?
Yeah, we have Christmas decorations up.
Oh, how cool!
Oh my gosh, Barry,
little
this is awesome.
bees.
I'm gonna put it on right now.
Michelle's a beekeeper. I just help.
With your pin down, it looked like it had a giant stinger. When you were
That's
holding
funny.
it up there.
That's really cute.
Oh, these are awesome. Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, Barry. That is cute.
I don't really have very many
Michelle
jewelry.
loves
I love
her
bees.
bees.
Thank you, Barry. I'm gonna have to wear it on something like what Leah's got on. You
Yeah.
can't see it very well here.
Well, thank you, Barry. You're gonna open up your orange, show them
I'm
how
gonna
it's
open
done.
up the orange. Yeah. The best way to open up a chocolate orange is to play cricket with it. Okay, no, Mikey. But they are really, really, really fun. I can get it open here. Okay, so here you go. Here's the.
We don't have these here that I know of.
I think you can get them at specialty places.
I know, but not like people don't normally get them.
No, that's not like a thing.
Little, and they have little, and they have like orange oil. Like they're like orange chocolate. They smell
good.
orangey. How fun is that?
Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm gonna put it in here. And I'm gonna eat it.
And she's gonna eat
And
it.
they're fun to eat too, cause it's like a little sliver. Look how little thin that is.
Yeah, they make them little slivers.
So good.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
This is so cute. These little roses. I've never seen chocolates like this before, so this is new. And
It's like a bouquet of chocolates.
It is that you can eat. Roses Golden Barrel.
What's in that?
I don't know. Let's find out. What you're reaching in. Denied.
Wow.
That was so funny. Oh my god. Golden Barrel. So it's in the shape
Oh,
of a
it's in
barrel.
the shape of a half barrel.
And I'm guessing there's going to be
Whoa! Oh
Yeah.
man, that was crazy.
caramel inside.
It still stuck to your mouth.
Golden Barrel. Shape of a barrel. Caramel. Got it. All right.
Yay, chocolate!
That's fun.
Thank you, Barry.
That's a pick-me-up.
Thank you to whoever sent the Stop the Steal and the stickers and all of
You
that.
definitely want all of our neighborhood to know where we stand.
And we stand strong.
Okay, where do we stand, Michelle?
You know what I should do? I should put some like Christmas tinsel. Whoa, now we went total dark.
Okay.
I should put some Christmas tinsel like around it or something so that it's festively stopping the steal. You know what I mean?
I'm so glad that you were able to fix these things. Whoa, there we are again.
Yeah. See, this is why Leah's like, I can do shows by myself. And I'm
No.
like, not sure about that one. What?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
We're
Christmas.
in the Christmas
Merry
season.
Christmas.
20, 19 days away. Christmas.
Till Christmas.
Yeah.
Today's the 5th. 6th.
You guys
19
have
days.
you guys
yeah.
done some shopping? We did some shopping yesterday.
We did shopping yesterday, and I feel like we're dialing back this year, not just for monetary reasons, but it just feels right to not quite go as big.
We're
this
not
year.
doing Christmas.
We
very
usually
much.
do Christmas on a massive scale with the Uncle Jack's grandkids come, and the living room becomes like a big giant wrapping paper craze.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we'll probably be outside again.
Here's
on the
something
deck,
interesting.
which we were even without COVID last
We
year.
actually celebrated my birthday on my birthday this year. We celebrated Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving this year, which we usually do. It's usually just late at night, which it was still late at night. But I think we may actually open up Christmas presents for our family with the 5 of us on Christmas this year.
That's
We've
been a while.
moved Christmas to like another day before because we
days
get
and
so
days
busy.
and days. Like, oh, we're doing
We'll be like, we're
Christmas
going to
tomorrow.
open Christmas presents tonight. And then we get busy. And then it's the next night. And then the next night. And the next night. Like, we don't wake up on Christmas morning and have Christmas morning like we did the first, 20 years of my life. That does not happen here. But now this year we might get a Christmas. It's really exciting. And I was thinking about writing Santa, but I don't need to. You know why? Because God the Father is going to give me the only thing I want for Christmas, and that's Trumpy Wumpy as my president. And that's what I'm getting for
Doesn't
Christmas.
even
That's
need to
it.
be wrapped
Here's the deal. You don't have to get me a single thing because Jesus is getting me the only present I need this year. My president is my president. Okay.
All right. Speaking of that, just a few election updates before we sign off here. Representative Jody Hice is a congressman. He is not part of the Georgia State Legislature, but he's a congressman from the state of Georgia. He has been really good on Stop the Steal. He said yesterday that the day before. Yesterday, we learned a forensic examination of a Ware County, Georgia Dominion voting system machine was found to switch votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. This is one machine in one county in one state. Did this happen anywhere else? We need to know, examine all the machines.
Are you going to talk about the forensic examination that's going to happen in Michigan? On Dominion machines?
I'm not quite, I don't know exactly what that entails, but I do know that Arizona is going to have a pretty good...
Michigan is getting a forensic audit on 22 Dominion machines.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
That was put out by the
thought
Epic
it was-
Times this morning.
I thought it was just the Antrim County machine, but it's more than that.
It is in Antrim County, and there's 22 machines.
Okay.
I think there's 22 machines. I can pull
Okay.
up that article and double check, but yeah. So that's really big news because in Antrim County is where the 6,000 votes were found to have been switched from Trump to Biden, and now we will get into to find out how that happened. They're saying it was a clerical error. What will the machines show? So we're looking forward to that.
Okay, so Mo Brooks says, I'm absolutely convinced that this is the largest voter fraud and election theft in American history. I will object to the Electoral College vote certification in the House to protect our republic from the Socialist Democrat takeover. And here's his interview here with Newsmax. Mo Brooks, brother Mo Brooks. What am I?
Carrie says, I have cousins in the UK that are pro-Trump. We have a lot of viewers here in the UK that are pro-Trump. Everybody's pro-Trump.
I have cousins across the pond too. Just kind of saying.
Who?
That's my joke.
Oh.
That's
Oh, you guys are our cousins across
I
the
wonder if
pond.
we're running low. Did it get plugged into anything?
I didn't plug it in, no.
Shoot. Mo. Well, I guess I could retweet it. You can play it on your thing if you
I
want.
could do that.
Mo brother. Let me just retweet this out. Fertility impacts. This is from the LifeSite News. A safety instructions document published by the UK government states, for women of childbearing age, pregnancy should be excluded before vaccination. Government produced safety instructions for a new coronavirus vaccine indicate that government produced that it should not be used by pregnant or breastfeeding mothers and children. In addition, they state that it is unknown whether it would affect fertility. This 10-page document describes the vaccines, how it is to be stored, diluted, administered, and trial studies carried out to test it. To be effective, the vaccine is supposed to be administered twice. In a section called Fertility, Pregnancy, and Lactation, the guide says there is no or limited data on the vaccine. Therefore, it is not recommending its use for pregnant women. Animal reproductive toxicity studies have not been completed.
Wow.
COVID-19 mRNA vaccine is not recommended during pregnancy. for women of childbearing age, pregnancy should be excluded before vaccination. The guide also advises that women should avoid becoming pregnant for the first 2 months.
That's awful.
How are you going to make that happen?
That's an excellent question.
How are you going to make that happen?
Right.
And are there other vaccines that state that? Because if there are no other vaccines that state that, you can't have women taking this vaccine who could be potentially become pregnant.
I feel really bad for the people that are buying into this stuff, though. I mean, honestly, like this is terrifying to me. I don't want anybody
for
to
at
go
least
sterile.
2 months after the second dose, because it is still unknown whether or not the vaccine can be transmitted to a breastfeeding infant through his or her mother's milk. The instructions state that a risk to newborns cannot be excluded, and that it should not be used during breastfeeding. So what are the women supposed to do who are pregnant and then breastfeeding for 12 months, a year and a half total, and then trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're basically not, and then with the passports and flying without the vaccine.
See, and that's where it gets completely out of hand. I mean, this is one example of a scenario of how someone can't get.
I'm trying to
the
get
vaccine.
pregnant. I need to get pregnant. We're trying to get pregnant, and you're going to tell me I can't fly anywhere. I can't
go into a grocery
or
store.
go into a grocery store. I'm pregnant. I'm breastfeeding, and we can't go. So the COVID vaccine and the certificates, they want to make it out to be this really great thing, but then you're telling people, that for this particular time of taking the vaccine, you can't get pregnant, and it's just, yeah.
All right, you want me to play Mo?
Play Mo.
Make us a little bit smaller here.
Congressman Mo Brooks telling The Hill, quote, "I'm doing this because in my judgment, this is the worst election theft in the history of the United States," end quote. Now, Brooks's comments there getting the attention of the president, who tweeted yesterday, "Thank you to Representative Mo Brooks." That congressman's joining us live, Congressman Mo Brooks from Alabama. Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for coming on here. A lot of things I want to talk to you about. Let's just jump right in, though. You've said you've seen overwhelming evidence of fraud. What are you seeing that so many in the mainstream media are not, so many on the left are not seeing? What is it that you see?
Well, you really can't expect the fake news media to see much when their head's buried in the sand, or other places related to Joe Biden. Look, the evidence is absolutely one thing's true in Georgia, same thing is true in Pennsylvania. In my judgment, if you could only count lawful votes cast by eligible American citizens, Donald Trump easily won the Electoral College and is lined to be the next president of the United States. So the evidence is there. You just have to look at it. Now, I tend to focus on systemic problems associated with the election process. I'm very thankful for the excellent homework that has been done by the Trump legal team. It's astonishing that they've been able to accumulate, by way of example, an itemization over 90,000 illegal votes cast in the state of Nevada in such a short period of time. That's amazing legal work, amazing investigative work. My hat's off to them. The video in Georgia is damning, where you have multiple suitcases full of ballots that are hidden underneath a table. The poll watchers and the media are ordered to leave, ostensibly because we've finished counting for the night. We'll resume at 8:30 in the morning, and then once the coast is clear, they roll out these suitcases full of ballots and start stuffing them into election machines, probably 15 to 18,000 ballots at that one location. You know this is going on in other places in the state of Georgia, because the Socialist Democrats are committed to gaining political power over our lives so that they can impose their dictatorial type regimes that they support. You've seen it in America all over the place with these mayors and governors excessively dictating to us what we as American citizens can and cannot do. And they're willing to steal elections in order to acquire that dictatorial power. And by golly, it's time for the American people to fight back. That's what I'm doing here on Capitol Hill. When the votes come from the state's Electoral College, They're submitted to the United States Congress on January 6th, beginning at 1 p.m. in a joint session of Congress presided over by Vice President Mike Pence. And I'm going to object to Nevada. I'm going to object to Georgia. I'm going to object to Pennsylvania. Once that is done, that forces House and Senate floor votes on whether to accept or reject these Electoral College submissions that are reeking of voter fraud and election theft.
Which sitting senator do you believe you have?
Well, I'm not going to point out a lot of comments. The case is that Donald Trump, in fact, won the Electoral College if you only count lawful votes cast by eligible American citizens. I'm hopeful that there'll be a number of senators who will join in this endeavor. Certainly, there are a number of House members who have come to me. I've not solicited any senators. I've not solicited any House members, but we're well into two figures now. The number of House members who have come to me and said, look, you're right. This election is being stolen. This is critical to the future of the United States of America, and we're going to fight back. We now are the resist element in the United States of America as we try to protect the American flag and try to protect our republic from its being undermined by the election theft that the Democrats have so brazenly engaged in.
Congressman, you know, you pointed to that video that we saw in Georgia. That seems to be creating a lot of stir. Do you feel like there's a shift in what some of our congressional leaders view now? Some may have balked at the idea that there is fraud, but then this video out of Georgia came up, and it seems like more and more now people are taking interest in what's happening now.
Well, it's unfortunate, but it's true that a lot of elected officials, and for that matter, judges and juries, they like to be handed an airtight case. I've litigated in courts of law, and you know what? A lot of times you have to think. You have to put together the pieces, the circumstantial evidence that leads you to the proper verdict that is just and fair and truthful. And I'll give you one example. In 1993, in the National Voter Registration Act, the Democrats made it illegal, mind you, the Democrats made it illegal for our voter registrars to require proof of citizenship when an illegal alien or a non-citizen walks in and demands to be registered to vote. And the voter registrars now have no choice under a Democrat law forced through the United States Congress over the objection of Republicans. Those voter registrars have no choice but to issue that voter registration card to illegal aliens and non-citizens because our voter registrars, due to federal law pushed through by Democrats over Republican resistance, the voter registrars don't have the right now to deny illegal aliens and non-citizens voting cards. And then you've got Joe Biden at the October 22nd presidential debate promising these illegal aliens, if you'll vote for me and make me president, I'm going to give you amnesty and citizenship, which they covet. So it should surprise nobody that there are many thousands of illegal aliens who have now been discovered and proven to have voted illegally in Nevada. You multiply that across the board to the rest of the nation, and at a minimum, you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of illegal alien and other non-citizens who have voted in part because Joe Biden publicly promised them amnesty and citizenship if you will elect him president of the United States. That's wrong. If that's not criminal conduct, if that's not solicitation of voter fraud, it dadgum ought to be.
Attorney General Bill Barr says that he hasn't seen any evidence of widespread voter fraud to date that would overturn the election. Yesterday, President Trump more or less instilled that he doesn't really have confidence in AG Barr. There was a question asked if he would fire AG Barr. What do you make of the Attorney General's comments?
Well, and so they're just in an embryonic stage. I'm quite confident that if we had the time necessary to present all of this to federal investigators who then did the investigative work, that you'd have hundreds, if not thousands, indictments for election fraud and voter fraud, election theft, whatever you want to call it, throughout the United States. I'm absolutely convinced that this is the worst election theft, voter fraud in the United States of America's history. And one of the problems we've got, there's an old adage, you can't see the forest for the trees. That's pretty much where we are. The voter fraud by the Socialist Democrats is so vast that if you focus on one particular instance, one particular tree, you miss all the others. That's where we are, and we need to correct it. We need to fight for our republic.
Well, you're continuing to do so. We appreciate you taking the time on this Friday to spend some time with us here.
All right, so So you may have noticed Leah went a little crestfallen, and I'm not really as upset or concerned about what she saw there.
I'm not concerned. It's just like I was looking to make sure there's any more updates, and Gateway Pundit has been on the ball. And I go to the Gateway Pundit, and there said that
Rudy Giuliani tested positive for coronavirus.
Now, I don't know anything about this. I don't know if it's one of those things, because they're testing these people 24/7, and Elon Musk had 2 positive, 2 negative. We know that sometimes there's false positives out there.
Mayor in the history of New York City, and who has been working tirelessly exposing the most corrupt election by far in the history of the USA, has tested positive for the China virus. Get better soon, Rudy. We will carry on.
So, I'm sure. Here's the thing. I don't know what this. Honestly, I'm surprised that they hadn't tried to do this to him already. To me, it's one of those things where I know that the China virus. I'm sure. Here's the thing. To me, my antennas go up, and I'm like, okay, there's 2 things. Either it's a false positive, or they planted it on him. Mm-hmm. And do you not know that China has espionage people, and they are not all Asian? Okay. They could wreck they know that this virus is designed to wreck everything and to control the mind, to control the narrative. If you don't like somebody, plant them with COVID.
Here's some good news, though. What Rudy has surrounding him, some amazing minds.
Oh, yeah. Other lawyers.
Each state has, like we saw in Georgia, a head lawyer.
A head lawyer.
And so they will, if they have to, if need be, we will just be continuing to hear from them. I know that there are more hearings scheduled for Georgia, literally, and I think,
but they
20 minutes.
They set a precedent. Zoom calls can be done now.
Exactly.
Zoom hearings
That's
can
so
be
good.
done
so
now.
Rudy can be there via video, and
Rudy will get the best treatment, that same treatment that Donald Trump got.
Hilton just said the same thing. Rudy
and he could actually get through this really quick, because they got Donald Trump in and out in less than a week.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a minor setback, but I'm actually surprised they haven't done it yet. I think they've weaponized this virus to take out people that they don't want to be able to do anything. I'm surprised, what are they going to say about Jenna Ellis, or like, what are they going to say about the Georgia lawmakers who were around him? They want to make it so that, now you're going to have to quarantine, and now you can't have your special session, and now you can't be here, and you can't be here.
No,
and
it's fine, because we can do Zoom special sessions.
Exactly.
We'll do it. Fine. Get us all on the call. We're doing it. I'm here. I'm coming.
Exactly.
Whatever. Rudy wasn't at Trump's rally last night.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I think that whatever we do, I've learned, don't believe whatever comes out breaking.
Yeah, and this is really cool, because the Flynn team has been doing this too. You have to give it the 24-hour test.
Yeah.
The 24-hour test. You have to let something percolate and see what's going on, because I'm telling you that
the disinformation,
the fact that it's COVID and not something like against the election fraud.
Yeah.
That is how I know this whole thing is a weaponized. And the great thing is that they can only throw it so many times. There's only so many bullets in these weapons that they have and these guns that they have. So you could keep throwing COVID. They hadn't thrown the COVID in a while, and then they're going to try to throw this. They're going to try to. These people tried to steal an election. Okay, they have cleanup crews. They're not very good. They haven't been very good in a while. Okay, right. The only thing they have is the mainstream media, and the mainstream media is the only thing that the mainstream media can do is spread disinformation about the. They had to spread disinformation about the video. But their whole MO is don't say anything. So now they can say something about the Rudy Giuliani, but then they have to question. Then what happens if they talk too much about it? The people that they've kept in the silence, SNL, Saturday Night Live, supposedly did a skit on the Michigan hearings. But the joke of it is there were very few laughs, because no one had seen them or even heard of the Michigan hearings.
Right.
So as soon as
something is only funny if you know what the parody is, what it was, what the original was.
So if they talk about Rudy Giuliani and Trump's lawyer, they have to talk about the claims.
Right.
And when they talk about the claims, then people will begin to wonder.
Well, and what's more, people are going to go and be like, they'll be searching on the internet Michigan hearings because they want to get it. Everybody wants to get the joke.
And if they are searching Rudy Giuliani, other things are going to come up. So
Right.
guess what, guys? Anytime they add any sort of publicity, it hurts them.
Yeah.
So if they talk about Rudy having COVID, it will hurt them.
Right.
It's only designed
Because
to,
a lot of people would be on the left are going to have their heads buried. Like, what's the big deal about Rudy Giuliani having COVID? What's he doing? Because they don't know that there's this
They don't
fight
know.
going on. So they'll start searching Rudy Giuliani. Oh, Rudy Giuliani's representing the president. The president's contesting the election. Like, people are have their heads that buried in the sand.
right. And they'll find out some more things. So I see this as actually as a positive. Hopefully Rudy comes through it with flying colors.
Aaron says there aren't very many things that the media are good at, and they are bringing more attention to the thing that they don't want you to know about.
I think that that's true. I think that that's true. The more they bring attention to the thing that they don't want you to know about. Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys. So I think that that's it for our show today.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Leah. Great show. Guys, here's the deal. I don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. If I find out what the hearings are, if they're playing or something like that, and we have the time to come back, here's what I will do. I will do what we did the other day, is I'll back it up to the beginning, and we, as our Resistance Chicks group, will watch it from there and move forward. So we don't always have to catch it exactly live. We've got a couple of things that we need to do around the house and for a neighbor. So I don't think we'll be able to bring it to you live, but perhaps this evening, maybe not. I don't know. Can't make any promises, but thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the Stop the Steal sign and the chocolates and the bee pin and the card and all of the stickers. And you guys are awesome. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, great.
God, we just come before you today. We thank you that you are moving in a great and powerful way across the whole world. We lift up our brothers and sisters over there in the UK and for Brexit. And we just pray that you spread your spirit and your love across that nation, that you open up hearts and minds to the truth of what is going on. I thank you that there is a great awakening, that people are putting two and two together with the vaccines and the GMOs and the lockdowns, and it's the left and it's the right. And I pray, Father God, that they will come to know they're great men and women of God, like the William Wilberforces, and they will come to know the great women of God, men and women of God, like John Locke and William Blackstone and Sir Edward Coke. And I just pray, Father God, that John Wesley and his whole family, all these wonderful, beautiful Christians who had hearts of gold, who loved Jesus. I pray that they begin to rise again, because the birthplace of American Christianity, a lot of it was in the UK, and it's become a dark place, but it doesn't need to be, because those people, they're still alive there, and the heart for Jesus is still beating there. And I pray that it will awaken a sleeping giant, and that revival will break out over the whole of the UK and Ireland and Scotland and Wales and in England. And I pray, Father God, that revival will spread across all of Europe and then Asia and then back over here with South America. And I just don't forget the islands of the Pacific and
Africa's kind of big.
Africa and Australia. And I just pray, Father God, for there's just so much happening in the world today, but it's hard for us to keep track of it all, but you keep track of it all. And we pray, Father God, for the health of Rudy Giuliani right now. We just command that coronavirus, if it is, to leave his body, but whatever it is, to be quickly taken care of. And we plead the blood of Jesus, and we ask for your healing to flow through him. And for everyone that has been surrounded around him, we just curse and bind this COVID scam.
Yes.
And we kick it to the curb in the name of Jesus. I pray, Father God, that people will wake up and that they won't be afraid anymore, because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. I pray that as our viewers go throughout the day today, they are excited, moved, and that of Jesus Christ And I just pray, Father God, that as this ball is rolling, and as you gave me the vision, this avalanche, it's just going to keep going downhill. But there's bumps going down this hill, and we may be. We are not trying to overturn the results of the election. They are trying to overturn the results of the election, and we are stopping them in the name and the power of Jesus. And so, Father God, we just lift this up to you. We just pray that this is a beautiful, wonderful Christmas season, and that what the devil intended for evil, that it will turn out for good, and that these nuclear families who get together for Christmas, may it be filled with your love and really just focus on who you are. And I pray that we sing the songs of who your son is and the miracles that he came to bring, and setting the government upon his shoulders and this increase of his government. And so Christ, in Jesus' name, I just pray that Christ's government will continue to be increased in 2021 and spread into the dark corners of Asia, into the dark corners of the far reaches in Africa, and to the dark corners of the European Parliament, to the dark corners of the UK Parliament, to the dark corners of our own US Congress. And I just thank you that you are eradicating this evil, and you're getting us back to, as Mom would say, sound money, so that we can't have these foreign wars and foreign entanglements and large corporations. We're just encompassing this whole prayer in a way that you can get us back on track as humanity, so that we can love each other and love you. And we just commit this all into your hands. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. They were asking for a song, but
they're not long. Like
you want me to get the guitar?
We could just sing. What do you want to sing?
Okay. What?
Joy to the World. Did we sing that last night?
I think we sang
that. Oh, so okay. There's a lot of joy happening. Okay, first song, guys.
Here, let me just pull it up here.
Pull what up?
Well, if you're gonna change my background, I'm gonna have to. It's fine.
Okay.
Change
okay.
the
I don't.
background.
No.
It's
Go
fine.
ahead. No. Whatever. What?
Marshmallow World. No, Dale.
It's a marshmallow world.
I do like that song though, actually.
We're not going to sing it.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think of a song. We'll just
Away in a Manger. Just sing that.
Just sing that. Away in a Manger. You don't need a guitar to sing the Marshmallow World. That's right.
Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. The cattle are lowing, the baby awakes, but little Lord Jesus no crying he makes. I love thee, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky, and stay by my cradle till morning is nigh. Be near me, Lord Jesus, I ask thee to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all the dear children in thy tender care, and take us to heaven to live with thee there.
Yes, Bernie, the Wisconsin election. Pastor John Haymans had a dream about God intervening in the Wisconsin election several months ago. Please check this out. Sounds good.
Cool.
I definitely believe that what's going on in Wisconsin is going to be huge. Huge. Let It Snow. What is that song called? It's not called Let It Snow. Oh, the weather outside is frightful. But we don't have any frightful weather right now. We have to save that for a snowy day.
Yeah, save it for a snowy day.
All right, we'll sign off with that. One song I think will get us. We're going to be with you guys probably all week long. Normally we do 2 shows a week, and now we're going to be doing like 7. So there will be plenty of time to sing all of your favorite Christmas carols. I promise. I promise you that. I know I thought about just Jingle Bells as the easiest one. Are you wanting to sing right now?
No.
All right, we're going to sign off. We love you guys. We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters or Christmas cards, they will be read on air. So if you have something that you've been wanting to say, or your story, not super lengthy, but whatever, we would love to read it and share it with our viewers. This is coming from the girl that doesn't like to the sound of my chewing. She gets if there's no background noise and I'm chewing, she just can't, like, literally she'll get up and leave the room. And I'm not even allowed to her. She does that with anybody. We'll be back tomorrow probably. There's going to be a lot going on tomorrow, so I'm just kind of planning on being with you guys for the duration. I think we'll have to see what happens. I think that's all the business I have to cover. So we'll see you guys later and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. We'll be back on Friday for sure at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Sunday, possibly on our Masfaith3 channel. So just be checking out both channels to figure out where we're going. But we'll try to keep you updated throughout the week as far as how that's going to go. But if you're just with us on our Sunday shows, that's why I wanted to tell you right now. All right. Good night, guys. God bless. Merry Christmas.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you called my name.